a bitter 1-1 draw filled with Clement's questionable decisions. Today, we'll break down everything that happened and what the media's saying about this fiasco. I've got a few reports lined up here. Micah Richards gives Rangers a Champions League shout-out as Celtic cheerleader act turns to Ibrox one-liner. Philippe Clement. Sack update emerges after Rangers draw via Olympiacos. Ali McCoist perplexed by Clement decision during Olympiacos versus Rangers as unseen moment sparks confusion. Rangers make important behind-the-scenes appointment. National media reacts to Nicholas Raskin display in Olympiacos 1-1 v Rangers. Jack Butland gives thoughts on Rangers captaincy and James Tavernier. But first, to get daily Rangers news at your fingertips, just hit the notification bell. Let's get into the news. We are the people. So Micah Richards has a bit of a soft spot for Celtic, or at least he's happy enough to wave his pom-poms for them on Champions League nights. That's what happens when they finally manage to win a European game. They go and make a right fuss about it, don't they? So there he was, all smiles and cheerleading, after Celtic managed to beat RB Leipzig 3-1 at Parkhead, with young Nicholas Kuhn netting a couple. Fair play, though, it's put Celtic in a decent position to actually get out of the group stage, and the new format seems to be working out nicely for them. But Richards, being his cheery self, couldn't resist making a show of it, practically bouncing out of his seat with glee. Now, Rangers weren't in the Champions League this year, so Richards didn't have quite the same occasion to show us some love on the main stage. But wait, Malik Tillman, the lad who was on loan with us from Bayern Munich last season, popped up in a PSV match, and guess who was quick to remind the world that he was once a Rangers man? Richards and Carragher had a right laugh about Tillman, calling him Vice Captain America after his performance. 1 goal, 2 assists in PSV's 4-0 win over Girona. And Richards, in true fashion, just had to sneak in. Former Rangers, like a little tip of the hat to us. But here's the question for you. Why do these pundits seem to go gaga over Celtic, while Rangers, the real Glasgow club, often get just a passing mention? Do you reckon it's just plain old bias? Or are we too good to need the extra fawning? Well, it looks like Philippe Clement's got himself a stay of execution, at least for now. After that gritty 1-1 draw against Olympiacos, he's bought himself some breathing room. Cyriel Desires managed to save the day despite looking like he was having one of those nights in the first half. It wasn't exactly a victory parade, but at least we didn't leave empty-handed from Greece, and apparently that's enough to give Clement a smidge of credibility back, according to McGarry from the Daily Mail anyway. Now, Clement's been feeling the heat ever since Aberdeen had us seeing red with that 2-1 loss, sending our start to the Scottish Premiership straight into the gutter. But this result in the Europa League and easing Motherwell out of the League Cup semi-final seems to have calmed the hounds a bit. There's talk that a good run in Europe might even be enough to keep him at Rangers for a while longer, especially with some big ties against Spurs and Man United looming. Imagine knocking one of those out. It'd be something to tell the grandkids, wouldn't it? And let's be honest, as much as we hate to admit it, Celtic are flying high at the moment, looking levels above Rangers, as they say. Maybe McGarry's right. Maybe we do need a bit of a reality check. A League Cup win and a quarter-final spot in the Europa League would feel like a decent enough season given the rough start. But here's the thing. Clement's decisions have been all over the place. He subbed off Dujon Sterling in Greece even after the lad was playing a blinder. You can't blame the fans for wondering what's going through his head sometimes. So here's a question for you lot. Has Clement actually turned a corner, or is he just delaying the inevitable? Ali McCoist wasn't the only one scratching his head over Clement's choices in that Olympiacos game. Just as we were getting into the second half, Dujon Sterling, who'd been solid as a rock in the first half, was pulled off, and if you thought that'd mean bringing on James Tavernier, the captain no less, you'd be wrong. Clement instead went for Neresho Casanwirjo, keeping Tav on the bench until he finally wandered on later in the match. Now, fair play to Cyril Désert. He pulled off a cracking equalizer, sending a defender to the shops before dinking one over the keeper to level the score. But McCoist was baffled. On TNT Sports, he's muttering, "Surely it must be an injury, surely," and he wasn't alone. Even the commentator, Rory Hamilton, pointed out an odd little moment when Clement called Sterling over for a word, almost like he was trying to explain himself. It's left everyone wondering, was there an injury we didn't know about, or did Clement genuinely think this was a tactical masterstroke? So here's one for you lot to chew on. Is Clement overthinking things and making it harder than it has to be, or is there something we're all missing? Looks like there's a bit of musical chairs happening in the back rooms at Rangers. Graham Horsman, who came on board in January as a football legal counsel, has just stepped up to take over as the new club secretary. It's all officially logged in Company's House now, so no going back. And with Horsman moving into that role, we're seeing a few others shifting as well. James Taylor, the chief financial officer, is out as secretary, while Craig Robertson, our director of football operations, has left after only 18 months. Now, the talk is that Robertson's departure was his own decision. Apparently, he wasn't shown the door or anything like that. Still, you've got to wonder about the timing, don't you? With all the noise around the team and manager, changes in the boardroom don't exactly scream stability. It's like shuffling the deck chairs when the ship's already rocking. So here's a spicy one for you. Are these changes really part of a fresh start, or is this more of the same old back office drama that keeps us in limbo? Well, it's about time we saw Nicholas Raskin showing us what he's really made of, isn't it? The lad was absolutely class against Olympiacos, one of those nights where he finally looked like the player we all hoped he'd be when he first signed. The Scottish press has given him a fair bit of praise, with the Daily Record calling his performance superb and giving him an 8 out of 10. They've pointed out his touch, his poise, and his ever-improving fitness levels, and they're spot on. He looked sharper, more confident, and he didn't just sit back. He was driving forward, trying to make things happen all night. Stats-wise, Raskin put in a real shift. 81 touches, 55 passes with 75% accuracy, and he didn't mind getting stuck in defensively either. 7 tackles, 4 interceptions, a clearance, a blocked shot, and even a cheeky 5 fouls committed. He was all over the pitch, winning duels in the air and on the ground and creating 4 key chances. Yeah, it's the kind of gritty all-action display that we need more of in the middle of the park. But here's the thing with Raskin. He's shown us these flashes before, just never consistently. There's always been that glimmer of promise, but it's been frustrating watching him struggle for continuity. So here's the big question for you lot. Is this the turning point for Raskin, or are we in for more ups and downs? Will he finally deliver the consistency we've been waiting for? Or is this just another flash in the pan? Well, looks like Jack Butland's getting his fair share of time, wearing the armband, with Tav being rested or benched in recent games. Apparently, back when there was talk of Tavernier being whisked off to Turkey, Butland was tipped to step up as Rangers captain if Tav had actually moved on. And while that didn't happen, Butland's had a few chances to lead the team this season anyway, and fair play to him. He's taken it seriously. After the Olympiacos match, he couldn't help but gush a bit, calling it a real honor to lead the lads. He gave full credit to Tavernier as the proper captain, but didn't hide his pride in stepping up. Butland was all about rallying the team, keeping spirits up after they fell behind, and he reckons the confidence from that performance should set the tone going forward. Now, Philippe Clement also chimed in on this, explaining his approach with Tav. The idea is to have a bit of rotation at this stage in Tav's career, since, like it or not, he's not quite the young engine he once was. Clement's clear about wanting more than just one leader out there, and Butland, with his experience and grit, fits the bill as a backup captain. But it's not the easiest call, is it? Dropping your main captain's always a bit of a gamble with the fans and the dressing room alike. So, here's a question that'll get you thinking. With Tavernier no longer an automatic starter, do we need a new full-time captain who's on the pitch week in, week out, or is the armband fine where it is? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon.